EastEnders star whose own life made dirty dens look tame. How Leslie Grantham, who has died at 71, was jailed for murder, sacked over a sex scandal and left homeless by divorce. Core, stinks in air, dunnit. With those innocuous words 33 years ago, actor Leslie Grantham, who died yesterday aged 71, started a television institution, one which would turn him and the character he played into a household name. When Grantham landed the role of shifty publican dentist Dirty Den Watts in EastEnders, he was a little-known actor trying to turn his life around following a murder conviction and more than 10 years in jail. The twice-weekly soap opera was launched on February 19, 1985, as the BBC's riposte to ITV's Coronation Street. Its first line was uttered by Den as he broke down the door of a flat belonging to elderly Reg Cox, who was discovered almost dead. That Tuesday night, the nation had no idea who Dennis Watts was. Less than 2 years later, his place in the TV firmament was secure. Grantham had only signed to do 10 episodes in a drama that was meant to revolve around two families, the Fowlers and the Beals. But it soon became clear there was a crackling electricity between Dennis and his wife Angie, played by Anita Dobson. They carried the show and drove its enormous early success. The most dramatic confrontation came on Christmas Day 1986 when tens of millions watched the Watts family turn to dust amid a welter of recrimination. No sooner had Angie, from under her huge, gravity-defying perm, simpered, "Nothing can go wrong, Den, I want this to be the best Christmas we've ever had at the Vic," then he dropped his bombshell. He discovered that she had faked a terminal illness in a desperate bid to stop him leaving her for his posh mistress. Nobody did the dirty on Dirty Den and got away with it. He handed a solicitor's letter to his long-suffering, alcoholic wife. It said he was filing for divorce. "Happy Christmas, ain't?" he sneered, as that dramatic drumbeat kicked off the famous theme tune. It was voted the No One soap moment of all time in a 2004 poll, and there's no doubt Den and Angie were one of TV's great double acts, lovey-dovey 1 minute, at each other's throats the next. Thanks to the quality of the acting, and the writing, they were an entirely plausible East End couple. No one who supped in Albert Square's Queen Vic pub was as important to the show as Den, Angie, and their beloved adopted daughter Sharon, Letitia Dean, who's still in it today. Even now, of all the characters to have emerged from Albert Square, few have captured the imagination quite like the adulterous, belligerent, conniving, dastardly Den, who was at the heart of all the most gripping storylines, not least the one-night stand with Sharon's best friend Michelle, Susan Tully, that produced an illegitimate daughter. When Den was written out in 1989 because Grantham was fed up with some of the other actors, he accused them of non-stop moaning, and preferring to open supermarkets rather than turn up to work on time. It was as if, not too far from fictional Walford, the Ravens were leaving the Tower of London. Reluctantly, EastEnders creators Tony Holland and Julia Smith made plans to kill him off. But the controller of BBC One, Jonathan Powell, insisted that his apparent murder be left ambiguous in case Den needed to be brought back if the ratings needed a boost. Holland and Smith were furious at being overruled and quit the show they had conceived. Even off-screen, trouble seemed to follow Dirty Den around. Powell was proved right, though. In September 2003, 16 million viewers saw Den return spectacularly with an even more laconic one-liner than his infamous "Happy Christmas, ain't?" This time the episode closed with a soft "Hello Princess," as he walked back into his daughter Sharon's life. His character was the ultimate survivor, living through not just being shot and collapsing into a canal in that 1989 episode, but a subsequent 14 years spent on the run from mobsters on the Costa del Sol, which explained his absence from the show. Den's second stint lasted 18 months, before his on-screen second wife Chrissy finished him off for good by clocking him on the head with an iron doorstop after she caught him having an affair. What made the portrayal of Dirty Den so compelling is that viewers knew the real life of Leslie Grantham was at least as eventful as that of his alter ego. He was born in South London but grew up on a council estate in Kent, where he was close to his father but had a fractious relationship with his mother. When she died in 1997, after several years of selling stories about him to the press, "She'd probably run out of fag money," was how he contemptuously explained it. He declined to go to her funeral. As a child, he nurtured an ambition to become an actor, but kept it secret. "You couldn't tell people," he once recalled. "They'd think you were a woofter. I used to go to the theater in Bromley and make out I'd been to the football." Little did he anticipate that he would take his first steps as an actor in prison, while serving a life sentence for murder. In 1965, aged 18, Grantham joined the Royal Fusiliers. He was posted to Germany and made a lance corporal. Then, in December 1966, he made the catastrophic decision to rob taxi driver Felix Rees in the town of Osnabrück. When Grantham threatened Rees with a pistol and asked him to hand over his money, the brave cabbie grabbed the gun and tried to wrestle it out of Grantham's hands. As the pair grappled, it went off and the driver was shot in the head. Grantham later admitted, "In my panic, I just ran for it." After he was arrested, he claimed he had not realized the pistol was loaded and that he never intended to harm the driver. If true, this detail could have seen his crime downgraded from murder to manslaughter, and it formed a key part of his defense. However, on April 17, 1967, he was convicted of murder at a court-martial held in Germany and sentenced to life in prison. In the end, he served more than 10 years. His first jail stint was served in army detention in Germany before he was moved back to Britain.